You didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So I had a friend, another agent here in the Springs, call me, and he just had a closing. And in this situation, he was actually working with the seller, and it has closed. The property is closed. But the seller's agent and the buyer and the buyer's agent are pretty upset because the house, the seller was supposed to complete some repairs prior to closing and also leave the house clean. And the seller, I guess, was unhappy about selling the property. And you get this if they're losing the property or it's being sold, under duress. And so the sellers did not leave the house as clean as the buyers expected and wanted. And they did most of the repairs, but there were a couple repairs that they did not do completely, or they did it in a shoddy manner. And so he is going through, kind of going back and forth with the buyer's agent, which is understandable. They want some resolution to this. They want to see, the finish of the repairs and maybe the house being cleaned. And he wanted to know what his responsibility was. Well, his responsibility is to stay on top of his sellers in following through with what they contractually agreed to. But my advice is really more for the buyer's agent. When you are helping your buyers purchase a property and you come across a situation like this is exactly why you do walkthroughs the morning of, or at least the day before you close, because you want to know that all the repairs that were negotiated were complete, and you want to know that the house is in the condition that it should be in. And so in my contracts, I always write that the house has to be left clean. And I usually write a little bit of some specific examples so that it's not your version of clean versus my version of clean. It's very quantifiable information. And then with the repairs, I'm very specific about what the repairs need to be, who needs to complete those repairs, whether it's a licensed professional or if the homeowner can do it because it's something, minor. And then we are checking that to make sure that it's done the morning of closing, because I don't want my buyers walking in, signing on the dotted line for a property that, there's something left undone. And so in this case, with this agent, the buyers, they saw it, they knew it wasn't done, and their agent still let them sign the documents and take the keys. And so what recourse do they have right now? Not very much. She can call and harass the agent, the seller's agent, and try to get him to complete it. But at the end of the day, it wasn't his obligation. It was his obligation to get his sellers to complete it. But because the buyers did not make an issue of it before closing, they continued with closing. And so now it's going to be up to them if they want to pursue maybe legal action. But, when you're talking about just, the cleanliness of a home or a very minor repair, the chances of you spending more money on, the court fees versus the cost to just do that yourself is oftentimes not worth it. And so again, make sure you have a good agent who's looking out for you, who is paying attention to those details, making sure that they're telling you what your options are right now in this moment, and then what they will look like going forward. Because you want to know, if you just move forward with the closing, do you have any recourse, after the fact? And so no, we're not lawyers and we can't tell you, the true legality of it, but we can tell you, as far as the expectations of following the contract and what was agreed upon and what that looks like. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'd love to help you out.